What if the biggest thing holding you back isn't a lack of talent, confidence, or opportunity, but one belief you've carried for years? Every day, countless women work harder, give more, and sacrifice more, yet still feel overlooked or unfulfilled. The truth is, the smartest women don't simply work harder, they live by a different set of rules. These aren't rules imposed by society, they're principles that help them lead with purpose, and earn respect, and build a life they're proud of. Today, we're going to explore 7 powerful rules that can change not only how the world sees you, but how you see yourself. The most successful people rarely begin by asking, "What do I need to do?" They begin with a much deeper question. Why does this matter? That single question has the power to change the direction of your entire life. Many people spend years chasing promotions, recognition, relationships, or financial success because they believe those things will finally make them feel complete. But when they achieve them, they often discover that the feeling doesn't last. The excitement fades, and they're left searching for the next goal, the next achievement, or the next approval. That's because success without purpose is like running a marathon without knowing where the finish line is. You keep moving, but you're never truly satisfied. Smart women understand something that many people overlook. They know that purpose comes before achievement. Instead of allowing the world to define who they should become, they first decide who they want to be. Their decisions aren't driven by fear, comparison, or the pressure to impress others. They're driven by values that remain steady even when circumstances change. Think about how often society tells women who they should become. Be successful, but don't seem too ambitious. Be confident, but don't intimidate anyone. Be kind, but never upset people. Be independent, but always meet everyone's expectations. These messages pull you in different directions until you begin living for everyone else's. Zo's approval instead of your own fulfillment. The danger isn't just that you'll become exhausted. The danger is that you'll wake up one day and realize you've been building someone else's dream instead of your own. Purpose acts like a compass. A compass doesn't remove storms, but it always points you in the right direction. Life will still bring setbacks, criticism, disappointment, and moments of uncertainty. The difference is that when you know your purpose, those obstacles no longer define your journey. They simply become part of it. Without purpose, every obstacle feels like a reason to quit. With purpose, every obstacle becomes another lesson that strengthens your character. Many people believe confidence comes from having all the answers. In reality, confidence grows when your actions align with your values. When you know why you're doing something, you stop wasting energy trying to convince everyone else that you're worthy. You no longer need constant validation because your purpose becomes your source of strength. The applause of others becomes a bonus, not a necessity. There will always be someone who has a bigger house, a better job, a larger audience, or more recognition. If comparison becomes your guide, you'll never experience peace because there will always be someone ahead of you. But purpose changes the game completely. When you're refocused on becoming the best version of yourself, instead of competing with everyone else, you begin measuring success differently. You celebrate progress instead of perfection. You appreciate growth instead of chasing impossible standards. Imagine 2 women climbing different mountains. One climbs because everyone told her that mountain represents success. The other climbs because reaching the top allows her to fulfill a mission she deeply believes in. Both may experience the same challenges, but only one has a reason strong enough to keep moving when the climb becomes difficult. Passion may get you started, but purpose is what keeps you going long after motivation disappears. Your purpose doesn't have to be something dramatic or world famous. It doesn't require millions of followers or headlines. Sometimes purpose simply means being the kind of mother who raises children with confidence and compassion. Sometimes it means building a business that solves real problems. Sometimes it means becoming a teacher who changes lives one student at a time. Purpose isn't measured by the size of your audience, it's measured by the depth of your impact. The remarkable thing about purpose is that it influences every decision you make. It shapes how you spend your mornings, how you respond to setbacks, how you choose your relationships, and how you invest your time. When your purpose is clear, saying no becomes easier because you understand that every yes to the wrong opportunity is a no to the life you're trying to build. The smartest women don't chase success because it looks impressive. They chase meaning because meaning creates lasting fulfillment. They understand that careers can change, circumstances can shift, and recognition can disappear. but a life built on purpose remains steady through every season. And when you begin every decision by asking not, will this make me successful, but instead, does this align with who I truly want to become, you stop living by accident and start living with intention. That is where real confidence begins, and that is where lasting success is born. One of the most powerful decisions you will ever make is realizing that your time, energy, and peace of mind are valuable. Too many women grow up believing that being kind means always saying yes, always being available, and always putting everyone else's needs before their own. While generosity and compassion are beautiful qualities, they become harmful when they leave you exhausted, overwhelmed, and disconnected from yourself. The smartest women understand that protecting their energy is not selfish. It is necessary. They know that you cannot pour into others if your own cup is constantly empty. Think about your life as if it were a bank account. Every conversation, every responsibility, every relationship, and every commitment either makes a deposit into your emotional account or withdraws from it. If all you do is give, eventually your balance reaches zero. Yet many people continue trying to give, even after they have nothing left. They smile when they're hurting. They agree when they want to say no. They carry responsibilities that were never theirs in the first place. Over time, this doesn't just create stress. It creates resentment, burnout, and the feeling that you've somehow lost yourself. Boundaries are often misunderstood. People assume that setting boundaries means shutting people out or becoming cold and distant. But healthy boundaries do the opposite. They create stronger relationships because they are built on honesty instead of obligation. When people know your limits, they know where trust begins. A relationship built on guilt and constant sacrifice may survive for a while, but it rarely remains healthy. Relationships become stronger when both people respect each other's needs. Imagine a house with no doors or windows. Anyone could walk in at any time, take whatever they wanted, and leave without permission. Eventually, that house would no longer feel safe. Your life works the same way. If everyone has unlimited access to your time, your emotions, and your attention, you will eventually lose the sense of peace that makes you feel secure. Boundaries are the doors that allow you to decide what enters your life and what does not. One of the hardest words for many people to say is no. Not because they don't want to say it, but because they're afraid of disappointing others. They worry that saying no will make them seem rude, selfish, or difficult. But every time you say yes to something that doesn't align with your priorities, you're saying no to something that truly matters. Every unnecessary commitment steals time from your dreams, your family, your health, or your personal growth. The truth is, people who respect you will also respect your boundaries. Those who become angry every time you protect your peace were often benefiting from your lack of boundaries in the first place. That can be difficult to accept, especially if you've spent years trying to keep everyone happy. But your responsibility is not to meet everyone's expectations. Your responsibility is to live a life that reflects your values. There will always be more work to do, more invitations to accept, more favors to give, and more demands on your attention. Technology has made it easier than ever for people to expect immediate responses. Messages arrive at every hour. Emails never stop. Social media constantly competes for your focus. Without intentional boundaries, your mind never gets the opportunity to rest. Constant availability does not make you more valuable. It often makes you more exhausted. Protecting your energy also means paying attention to the people you allow into your inner minds. Some people encourage your growth, celebrate your victories, and remind you of your strengths during difficult times. Others constantly criticize, drain your confidence, or fill every conversation with negativity. You cannot control how others behave, but you can control how much influence they have over your life. Choosing your environment carefully is one of the greatest forms of self-respect. This doesn't mean avoiding difficult conversations or walking away every time someone disagrees with you. Growth often requires uncomfortable discussions. However, there is a difference between relationships that challenge you to become better and relationships that consistently diminish your confidence. Smart women learn to recognize that difference. They invest their energy where it can grow instead of wasting it where it is constantly depleted. Protecting your energy also requires learning to protect your own thoughts. Sometimes the loudest critic isn't another person. It's the voice inside your own mind. That voice says you're not good enough, not smart enough, not experienced enough, or not worthy of success. If you allow those thoughts to dominate your attention, they will drain your confidence before the day even begins. Healthy boundaries aren't only external, they're internal. They include choosing not to entertain beliefs that keep you small. There is incredible freedom in understanding that you do not need permission to prioritize your well-being. Rest is productive. Quiet is valuable. Reflection is necessary. Taking care of yourself is not abandoning others. It is preparing yourself to serve them from a place of strength rather than exhaustion. The strongest women are not the ones who carry every burden alone. They are the ones who know which burdens truly belong to them. When you begin protecting your energy, something remarkable happens. Your decisions become clearer. Your relationships become healthier. Your confidence grows because you stop seeking approval from everyone around you. Instead of reacting to every demand, you start responding with intention. You discover that peace is not something you find after life becomes less busy. Peace is something you create by deciding what deserves access to your time, your heart, and your attention. And when you protect those things with courage and wisdom, you give yourself the greatest gift of all, the freedom to become the woman you were always meant to be. Confidence is often misunderstood. Many people believe it is something you either have or you don't, as if it were a personality trait decided at birth. They look at successful women and assume those women were simply born fearless, naturally talented, or gifted with an unshakable belief in themselves. But if you look closely at the people you admire most, you'll discover a different story. Their confidence wasn't handed to them. It was built, one decision at a time, through consistent action. The biggest mistake people make is waiting to feel confident before they begin. They tell themselves, once I feel ready, I'll start the business. Once I'm more confident, I'll speak up in meetings. Once I believe in myself, I'll chase my dreams. But confidence doesn't come first. Action comes first. Confidence is the reward for repeatedly proving to yourself that you can do difficult things. Think about learning to ride a bicycle. No one climbs onto a bike for the first time expecting perfect balance. You wobble. You fall. You get back up. Every small improvement teaches your brain that you are becoming more capable. Eventually, what once felt impossible becomes second nature. Life works the same way. Every challenge you face is an opportunity to prove to yourself that you are stronger than your tour. Smart women understand that confidence isn't about never feeling nervous. It's about refusing to let fear make decisions for them. Fear is a natural emotion. Every person experiences it before doing something meaningful. The difference is that confident women don't interpret fear as a stop sign. They see it as evidence that they are stepping outside their comfort zone and growing into someone new. Perfection is one of the greatest enemies of confidence. Many talented women spend years preparing, researching, planning, and waiting for the perfect moment. They want every detail to be flawless before they take the first step. But perfection is an illusion. There will always be another skill to learn, another obstacle to overcome, or another reason to wait. Meanwhile, someone with less experience but more courage moves forward, learns from mistakes, and continues improving. Every small action creates evidence. Every promise you keep to yourself strengthens trust in your own abilities. If you say you're going to wake up early and you do it, you've built confidence. If you commit to reading 10 pages every day and remain consistent, you've built confidence. If you decide to exercise 3 times a week and follow through, you've built confidence. These actions may seem ordinary, but together they create something extraordinary. They teach your mind that your words can be trusted. Many people underestimate the power of keeping small promises to themselves. They wait for one huge breakthrough, believing that confidence arrives after a major achievement. In reality, lasting confidence is built through hundreds of ordinary victories that no one else even notices. It's created in the quiet moments when you choose discipline over excuses, courage over comfort, and progress over perfection. There will be days when you doubt yourself. Everyone experiences them. Even the most accomplished leaders have moments when they question their abilities. The goal isn't to eliminate self-doubt completely. The goal is to stop allowing doubt to become your identity. Your thoughts are not always facts. Sometimes your mind tells stories based on fear instead of reality. The smartest women learn to acknowledge those thoughts without allowing them to control their actions. Comparison is another thief of confidence. Social media makes it easy to believe everyone else is happier, more successful, more attractive, or further ahead. But you're comparing your everyday life to someone else's highlight reel. Behind every success story are failures, setbacks, disappointments, and moments of uncertainty that most people never see. When you constantly measure your worth against someone else's journey, you lose sight of your own progress. Instead of asking, am I better than someone else? Ask yourself a more meaningful question. Am I becoming better than I was yesterday? That shift changes everything. It transforms confidence from a competition into a personal commitment. Growth becomes your focus instead of comparison. Confidence also grows through preparation. While action is essential, preparation gives action direction. The woman who studies before an important presentation will naturally feel more capable. The entrepreneur who understands her business will speak with greater certainty. The athlete who practices every day enters competition with a stronger belief in her abilities. Preparation doesn't eliminate nervousness, but it gives you something stronger than hope. It gives you evidence that you've done the work. Failure, surprisingly, is one of confidence's greatest teachers. Every mistake contains information. Every setback reveals a lesson. Every disappointment offers an opportunity to become wiser and stronger. The women who achieve remarkable things aren't those who avoid failure. They're the ones who refuse to let failure define them. They understand that falling isn't the opposite of success. Quitting is. Confidence also inspires confidence in others. When people see someone acting with authenticity, consistency, and quiet determination, they naturally trust that person more. Real confidence doesn't need to announce itself. It doesn't seek attention or validation. It is calm, steady, and rooted in character rather than applause. It listens more than it boasts. It learns more than it pretends to know. It understands that true strength is measured not by how loudly you speak, but by how consistently you live according to your values. Every great achievement begins with a single step taken before certainty exists. The smartest women don't wait until they feel fearless, because they know that day may never come. They choose to act anyway. They understand that courage creates action, action creates experience, experience builds confidence, and confidence opens doors that fear could never unlock. Over time, those small, consistent actions shape not only what they accomplish, but also who they become. And that transformation is the kind of confidence that no challenge, no criticism, and no setback can ever take away. Growth has never been comfortable, and it never will be. Every meaningful change in your life begins the moment you step beyond what feels familiar. Yet most people spend years trying to avoid discomfort. They choose the predictable instead of the possible. They stay in situations that no longer inspire them because at least they know what to expect. They silence their dreams because chasing them feels risky. The irony is that while comfort may feel safe today, it often becomes the greatest obstacle to the life you truly want tomorrow. Smart women understand that comfort is not the same as happiness. A comfortable life can still leave you feeling unfulfilled, restless, and disconnected from your potential. You can have a stable routine, a steady paycheck, and the approval of everyone around you, yet still feel like something is missing. That feeling isn't a sign that you're ungrateful. It's often a reminder that you were created to grow, to learn, and to become more than you are today. Think about a seed planted in the ground. Before it becomes a tree, it must first break open. From the outside, that process looks messy. The shell cracks. The seed changes forever. But without that uncomfortable transformation, there is no growth. In many ways, our lives follow the same pattern. Every new version of yourself requires letting go of an old one. That process is rarely easy, but it is always worthwhile. Fear often disguises itself as logic. It whispers that you're not experienced enough, that the timing isn't right, or that you should wait until everything is perfect. It sounds reasonable because it wants to protect you from uncertainty, but if you listen too closely, fear becomes the author of your future. It convinces you that staying where you are is safer than discovering what you're capable of. The truth is, avoiding risk doesn't eliminate regret. In fact, many of life's greatest regrets come not from the chances we took, but from the opportunities we never pursued. Every successful woman you admire has faced moments when she felt uncertain. She questioned herself. She wondered whether she was capable. She experienced rejection, criticism, and failure. What made the difference wasn't the absence of fear. It was the decision to keep moving despite it. Courage is not the opposite of fear. Courage is choosing your purpose over your fear. Failure is one of the most misunderstood parts of success. Society often treats failure as proof that you're not good enough. But failure is simply information. It tells you what worked, what didn't, and what needs to improve. Imagine if a child gave up after falling the first time they tried to walk. None of us would ever take a single step. We accept mistakes as part of learning in childhood, yet somehow expect perfection from ourselves as adults. Real growth requires giving yourself permission to be a beginner again. There is a powerful difference between failing and being a failure. Failing is an event. Being a failure is an identity. One is temporary, the other is a belief. Smart women never confuse the two. They understand that a mistake does not define their worth. A setback does not determine their future. Every challenge becomes another chapter in their story, not the conclusion of it. Growth also demands humility. The moment you believe you have nothing left to learn is the moment you stop improving. The strongest women remain curious. They ask questions. They seek feedback. They welcome opportunities to develop new skills. They understand that learning is a lifelong journey, not a destination. Every conversation, every experience, and every challenge offers a lesson if you're willing to pay attention. Sometimes growth requires leaving behind people, habits, or environments that no longer support who you're becoming. That can be painful because familiarity creates emotional attachment, but not everyone who joins your journey is meant to remain on it forever. Some relationships serve a purpose for a season. Some habits helped you survive difficult times, but now prevent you from thriving. Letting go isn't always about losing something. Often, it's about making room for something better. One of the greatest obstacles to growth is comparison. When you constantly compare your beginning to someone else's middle, you'll convince yourself that you're falling behind. But everyone's timeline is different. Some people bloom early, while others discover their greatest purpose later in life. Progress cannot be measured by someone else's calendar. The only meaningful comparison is between who you were yesterday and who you're becoming today. Growth is rarely dramatic. It doesn't always arrive with applause or recognition. More often, it appears in quiet decisions that no one else notices. It's choosing to read instead of scrolling through distractions. It's having the difficult conversation you've been avoiding. It's waking up a little earlier to invest in yourself. It's choosing discipline when excuses would be easier. These small choices seem insignificant in the moment, but over months and years they completely transform your life. The beautiful thing about growth is that it changes more than your circumstances. It changes your identity. Every challenge you overcome teaches you that you're more resilient than you imagined. Every fear you confront weakens its control over your future. Every lesson you learn expands your perspective. You don't simply gain new skills, you become a new person. The smartest women don't ask, will this be easy? They ask, will this help me become the person I want to be? That question changes everything. It shifts the focus from temporary comfort to lasting purpose. It reminds you that the greatest opportunities often exist just beyond your greatest fears. Life was never designed to keep you trapped inside the limits of your comfort zone. It was designed to invite you into continuous growth, deeper wisdom, and greater impact. When you choose growth over comfort, you stop living according to your fears and start living according to your potential. And that decision, repeated day after day, becomes the foundation of a life filled not only with success but with meaning, courage, and lasting fulfillment. The people you spend the most time with have a greater influence on your future than you may realize. Every conversation, every relationship, and every environment shapes the way you think, the decisions you make, and the expectations you have for your own life. That's why one of the smartest choices any woman can make is to intentionally surround herself with people who encourage her growth instead of limiting it. Success is rarely a solo journey. Behind every confident, resilient, and inspiring woman is often a circle of people who challenged her, supported her, and believed in her even during moments when she doubted herself. It's easy to underestimate the power of your environment because change happens gradually. You don't suddenly become more confident or more negative overnight. Instead, you slowly begin to adopt the attitudes, habits, and beliefs of the people around you. If you're constantly surrounded by individuals who complain about every opportunity, criticize every dream, and focus only on what could go wrong, it's only a matter of time before that mindset begins to influence your own thinking. Negativity spreads quietly. It doesn't announce itself. It simply becomes normal. On the other hand, being around people who believe in possibility changes the way you see the world. These are people who celebrate progress instead of perfection. They encourage you to keep going after a setback instead of reminding you why you might fail. They don't compete with your success. They cheer for it. Their confidence becomes contagious because they remind you of your strengths when you have. Each you are temporarily forgotten them. Smart women understand that relationships should not be built on constant comparison. Comparison creates insecurity, jealousy, and unnecessary competition. Real friendships create safety. They create a space where people can celebrate each other's victories without feeling threatened. Imagine how much stronger the world becomes when women choose collaboration instead of competition. Instead of asking, how can I be better than her? They begin asking, how can we become better together? That simple shift transforms relationships from rivalry into partnership. Supportive people don't always tell you what you want to hear. Sometimes the greatest gift someone can give you is honest feedback. A true friend isn't someone who agrees with everything you say. A true friend cares enough about your future to challenge your thinking, point out your blind spots, and encourage you to become the best version of yourself. Growth often requires uncomfortable conversations, and the people who genuinely care about you won't try to avoid those conversations simply to keep you comfortable. At the same time, it's important to recognize relationships that constantly drain your confidence. Some people criticize every goal you set because they are uncomfortable with change. Others project their own fears onto your dreams. They tell you that your ambitions are unrealistic, not because they know your potential, but because they are limited by their own experiences. If someone has convinced themselves that extraordinary things are impossible, they may unintentionally discourage anyone who tries to prove otherwise. That doesn't mean you should become angry with people who doubt you. Often, they are speaking from fear rather than malice. But you must be careful about whose opinions you allow to shape your future. Not everyone deserves a seat at the table where your biggest life decisions are made. Advice is valuable only when it comes from people whose character, wisdom, and experience you respect. Another important lesson is learning that quality matters more than quantity. You don't need hundreds of friends to build a meaningful life. A few trustworthy people who genuinely care about your well-being are far more valuable than a crowd of acquaintances who disappear when life becomes difficult. Strong relationships are built on trust, honesty, encouragement, and mutual respect, not popularity. Your environment includes more than the people you meet in person. It also includes the books you read, the podcasts you listen to, the videos you watch, and the voices you allow into your daily routine. Every message you consume shapes your mindset in some way. If you constantly fill your mind with negativity, fear, and endless comparison, your outlook will begin to reflect those influences. But when you intentionally seek out wisdom, encouragement, and thoughtful perspectives, you strengthen your ability to face life's challenges with confidence. One of the most inspiring qualities of strong women is their willingness to lift others as they climb. They don't believe that someone else's success reduces their own opportunities. Instead, they understand that leadership is about creating more leaders. They mentor, encourage, and celebrate others because they know that real influence isn't there measured by how many people follow you. It's measured by how many people become stronger because you were part of their journey. This kind of generosity creates a ripple effect. When one woman believes in another, confidence begins to multiply. Someone who once doubted herself gains the courage to pursue a dream. She, in turn, encourages someone else. Over time, one act of support becomes a chain of transformation that reaches far beyond what anyone could have imagined. It's also important to remember that healthy relationships require effort from both sides. You cannot expect encouragement if you're unwilling to encourage others. You cannot expect loyalty if you're unwilling to be trustworthy. The kind of people you hope to attract into your life are often looking for someone with the same qualities. Become the friend, mentor, colleague, and leader you wish to find, and you'll naturally build relationships that reflect those values. At the end of the day, your future is influenced not only by the goals you set, but also by the company you keep. Every person in your life either inspires you to rise higher or quietly pulls you toward mediocrity. The smartest women choose relationships that challenge them to grow, remind them of their purpose, and encourage them to become their best selves. They understand that success is not about standing above everyone else. It's about walking alongside people who make the journey richer, wiser, and more meaningful. And when you surround yourself with those who believe in growth, integrity, and possibility, you don't just change your own life, you become part of changing the lives of others as well. True leadership has very little to do with titles, positions, or authority. It has everything to do with the way you make people feel. Many people believe that influence comes from being the loudest voice in the room, having the highest position in an organization, or receiving the most recognition. But the women who leave the greatest impact understand a different truth. Real leadership begins long before anyone gives you a title. It begins with your character, your integrity, and the choices you make every single day. Smart women know that kindness is not weakness. In a world that often celebrates aggression and dominance, kindness is sometimes mistaken for vulnerability. But genuine kindness requires courage. It means choosing patience when frustration would be easier. It means listening before speaking. It means treating every person with dignity, regardless of their position, background, or ability to offer you something in return. Anyone can be kind when life is easy. True character is revealed when circumstances are difficult. Strength and kindness are not opposites. In fact, they work best together. A woman who leads with strength but lacks compassion may earn obedience, but she rarely earns trust. On the other hand, someone who is kind but unwilling to stand up for her values may struggle to create meaningful change. The most effective leaders combine both qualities. They remain compassionate without compromising their principles. They lead with empathy while maintaining the courage to make difficult decisions. One of the greatest misconceptions about leadership is that it is about being in control. Real leadership is about creating an environment where other people can thrive. Think about the leaders who have had the biggest influence on your life. Chances are, they didn't inspire you through fear or intimidation. They inspired you because they believed in you. They encouraged you to grow. They gave you opportunities to learn. They made you feel seen, valued, and capable of achieving more than you thought possible. Authenticity is another quality that separates exceptional leaders from ordinary ones. People are naturally drawn to those who are genuine. You don't have to pretend to be someone you're not in order to earn respect. In fact, pretending often creates distance between you and the people you're trying to influence. Authentic women are comfortable admitting when they don't know something. They acknowledge mistakes instead of hiding them. They remain open to learning because they understand that honesty builds trust far more effectively than perfection ever could. There is incredible freedom in letting go of the need to impress everyone. Many people spend years wearing masks, trying to become whatever they think others expect them to be. They change their opinions to fit in. They hide their true personalities to avoid criticism. Over time, they lose touch with who they really are. Smart women understand that lasting influence doesn't come from fitting into every room. It comes from bringing your authentic self into every room with confidence and integrity. Integrity is one of the most valuable qualities a person can possess. It means your actions match your words, even when no one is watching. It's easy to make promises when everything is going well. The real test comes when keeping those promises becomes inconvenient. People may forget your achievements, but they rarely forget whether they could trust you. Trust is built slowly through consistent actions and can be lost in a single careless decision. That's why women of strong character protect their integrity as one of their greatest assets. Empathy also plays a vital role in meaningful leadership. Every person you meet is carrying challenges you may never fully understand. Some are struggling with self-doubt. Others are dealing with loss, financial pressure, family responsibilities, or personal battles that remain invisible to the outside world. When you choose to approach people with compassion instead of judgment, you create an atmosphere where they feel safe to be honest and vulnerable. That kind of environment allows individuals and teams to grow stronger together. Leading with authenticity also means accepting that you cannot please everyone. No matter how thoughtful or well-intentioned your decisions may be, there will always be people who disagree with you. If your goal is universal approval, you'll spend your life constantly changing direction to satisfy the expectations of others. Strong women understand that respect is more valuable than popularity. They focus on making decisions that align with their values, rather than chasing temporary cards. Another characteristic of inspiring leaders is consistency. Anyone can make a good impression once. True influence is built over time through dependable actions. Consistency creates credibility. When people know they can rely on your honesty, your work ethic, and your commitment, they begin to trust not only your words but also your leadership. Small acts of reliability, repeated every day, become the foundation of lasting influence. Leadership is also about serving rather than being served. The strongest women don't ask, "How can people help me succeed?" They ask, "How can I help others become successful?" That mindset changes everything. It transforms leadership from a position of power into a responsibility. It reminds us that our greatest achievements are not measured by the number of people working beneath us, but by the number of people whose lives become better because of our presence. Perhaps the most remarkable thing about leading with kindness, strength, and authenticity is that it creates a legacy that outlasts any award, promotion, or public recognition. Titles eventually change. Careers evolve. Achievements fade into history. But the way you made people feel, the confidence you inspired, the encouragement you offered, and the example you set continue long after you're gone. Those moments shape families, workplaces, communities, and future generations in ways that cannot always be measured. The smartest women understand that leadership isn't reserved for a select few. Every conversation is an opportunity to lead. Every decision is an opportunity to demonstrate integrity. Every challenge is an opportunity to model resilience. Whether you're leading a business, raising a family, mentoring a colleague, or simply encouraging a friend through a difficult season, your influence matters. When you choose kindness without weakness, strength without arrogance, and authenticity without fear, you become the kind of leader people don't simply admire. They trust, remember, and aspire to become. And in the end, that is the highest form of success any person can achieve.